The 6 Maigret books dramatised in the series are published by Penguin and are available from bookshops at £3.99.
Mr. Trump, wherever he is clearly in very great danger.
We want 10 million.
Nonsense, that's not possible.
Could Michael be killed?
Yes. You're with policemen now, aren't you?
Dangerous game.
It's like a betrayal by a friend.
Yes.
A kidnap, drugs and murder confront Van der Valk Wednesday at 8.
Mr. Soft, won't you tell me why the world in which you're living is so strange? Oh, Mr. Soft, how come everything around you is so soft and rearranged?
Bite through the shell of a Trebor Softmint and everything turns chewy and soft. They're crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
Neil Diamond.
If there were no dreams,
The man and his music are back.
how could we be lovers?
15 specially recorded songs
Don't turn around,
to reach out and touch your heart.
heartbreaking, I'm letting you go.
It's the album you've waited for. Lovescape. Love songs from Neil Diamond.
In this kind of emergency, go straight for a stain remover with the power to tackle most household stains. 1001 Troubleshooter.
Which of these three is the invisible man? Right, you can tell because you can't tell. And which cup has the Canderel sweetener tablet? Right, you can tell because with no saccharine aftertaste you can't tell. Isn't it time you moved over to Canderel?
From Gillette comes Sensor, the razor that can sense and adjust to the individual needs of your face. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and individually adjust to your face. Closer, safer, more comfortable. Gillette Sensor, together with the richness of Gillette Gel, for a shave that is unsurpassed.
Collect the vouchers at participating Shell stations, and you can now choose from an exciting range of travel games. They'll make your journey fly by.
If I had some money owing to me, I'd be a mug not to collect it. So if you're disabled, you want to make sure you collect yours. From April, there are new disability benefits. You could get cash if you need a hand to look after yourself, cash if you need help to get around, and there could even be cash if you're working. To find out more, get hold of one of these booklets, either by phoning 0800 100 123. Wait, I said 0800 100 123, or by looking out for the ads in the papers. So if it's your money and you're entitled to it, why not claim it?
When we get a cold, we most likely get a bunged up nose or a sore throat. But all too often we get both together, double trouble. And that's precisely why Lockets have a double action.
On the outside, menthol to help clear your nose and let you breathe more easily. Inside, a liquid center to soothe your throat.
Making you feel altogether human again.
So for double trouble, double action Lockets help clear your nose and soothe your throat.
Next Sunday at 10:05 on TVS, 2 former spies join forces.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
Tom Conti and John Standing in Old Boy Network.
Melvin Bragg introduces the South Bank Show at 10:35 as we accompany Colin Thubron to Uzbekistan in Central Asia. First on TVS, the national and international news from ITN with Sue Carpenter.
The news from ITN.
Crisis for Yeltsin as thousands turn out for demonstrations. Hattersley's New Jerusalem will mean a slump, says Patton. Hundreds of Somali refugees dying each day in UN camps. And the couple giving away their unborn babies. Good evening. The Russian President Boris Yeltsin faced a new crisis today when nearly 30,000 of his critics demonstrated in Moscow. They were protesting at Mr. Yeltsin's market reforms and called for a return to the old Soviet Union. The huge show of unrest came a day after his vice president accused the Russian government of pursuing a policy of economic genocide. In a counter-demonstration, 10,000 Yeltsin supporters gathered outside the Russian parliament building.
It's 5 weeks since Boris Yeltsin set his country decisively on a course towards capitalism, and already tens of thousands are taking to the streets demanding a return to the old days. They marched towards the Kremlin carrying the flags and emblems of communism and chanting, "Yeltsin is a Judas, Yeltsin must resign." Their heroes are the men who gave Russia communism. The man blamed for destroying it, Mikhail Gorbachev, portrayed today as a Nazi.
These people are shouting for the recreation of the old Soviet Union. It's too late for that, but they believe there is still time to stop Russia turning into a capitalist market economy.
Speaker after speaker denounced what had happened to their country since the communists were kicked out. The fact that such huge and open defiance of the government would have been inconceivable when they were in power was apparently lost on them. In side streets, several thousand militiamen were deployed to ensure these demonstrators were kept well away from another protest a little over a mile away. This time, Boris Yeltsin's own people, shouting their support for his attempts to free the Russian economy from state control. They had gathered outside the White House, home of the Russian parliament. This was the building they'd defended against tanks and the KGB last August. Now they say they're defending what it stands for.
To support real democracy, real freedom, real human rights, not only in words, but in actions.
But now the threat comes from ordinary people who found the free market has brought them nothing except poverty. Increasingly, Yeltsin is being warned that people won't wait forever.
His time is not limitless, and in this case I would say that he has much less time in comparison with Gorbachev, because people are already getting impatient, and because the situation on the consumer market is really desperate.
His people are only too aware that a hungry population could still turn its back on everything they've achieved. James Mates, ITN, Moscow.
Here, the two main political parties have ended a weekend of attacks on each other's policies from conferences 250 miles apart. At Labour's local government conference in Blackpool, Roy Hattersley said the Tories stood for selfishness and greed, while in Eastbourne, Chris Patten told young Conservatives that a Labour government would mean the certainty of continued recession.
Today, Labour hit back at the onslaught the Tories have mounted against them. Look at the Tory record, said Labour's deputy leader Roy Hattersley. Record bankruptcies and house repossessions, unemployment back over 2.5 million, and inflation going back up. The result of what Mr. Hattersley called the economics of selfishness.
This party, after 100 years, is still in search of the New Jerusalem, the society of equals, the society in which poverty is banished forever. Have no doubts it will be provided by your new Labour government. Thank you very much indeed.
So, at Labour's local government conference in Blackpool, we had Labour predicting what Mr. Hattersley called Tory humiliation at the polls. But in Eastbourne with the Young Conservatives, their party chairman was equally certain of victory. Certain, he said, because of Labour's disastrous economic plans which would damage the economic recovery.
Higher interest rates, higher taxes, higher inflation, more strikes, and a job-destroying minimum wage. Vote Labour for a good, old-fashioned, permanent socialist slump.
And as the Tories and Labour slugged it out, the Liberal Democrats offered their answer to what they're calling the Tories' exaggerated claims and Labour's overhyped counterclaims.
The economy is the key issue, and to make us really competitive in the single European market, what we'll be arguing at the election is more investment, in particular in education and training. That has to be a key issue. And if it means at the end of the day that you might have to countenance tax increases, that shouldn't be dismissed either.
Another campaigning issue surfaced today. The Prime Minister, in a radio interview, called for a clean campaign. But Labour are contrasting that with the refusal by the Tory chairman, Mr. Patten, today, to denounce a Sunday Times article which uses Mr. Kinnock's name and which Labour regards as an outright smear on their leader.
A new poll on the state of the parties in Scotland gives the Scottish Nationalists their highest rating since 1974, 29% compared to Labour's 41%. The same poll indicates that nearly a third of Scottish voters back full independence. The Market Research Scotland poll for tomorrow's Scottish Daily Express and the Daily Express suggests 31% in favour of independence, 34% supporting some form of devolution, and 25% wanting to remain part of the United Kingdom. The Scottish Secretary, Ian Lang, said today that he saw no need for a separate Scottish Parliament.
I don't want to see the Saltire ripped out of the Union Jack. That does harm to Scotland and it does harm to the rest of the United Kingdom, and that is the cause on which I'm fighting.
The Birmingham estate agent Stephanie Slater has returned home for the first time since she was abducted. The West Midlands Police said Stephanie had finished her interviews with them but would be making further statements. They said they'll be maintaining a 24-hour guard until her kidnapper is caught.
With the kidnapper still at large, scores of policemen surrounded this housing estate in Birmingham before Stephanie was allowed to return home. Mounted police were positioned on heathland nearby, and dog handlers patrolled the streets around the Great Bar district. Stephanie's already paid tribute to the police operation which resulted in her safe return. Today the local bobbies paid tribute to her. PC Roger Lincoln from the close-by Wednesbury station was given the task of delivering flowers and a kiss. It's the second time Stephanie has faced the cameras since her release, but until today she's been staying at a private hospital whilst detectives continued the debriefing. She was clearly delighted to be back home with her parents.
Wonderful. Really happy. Really happy. Oh,
There was even a friendly welcome back from a neighbour's dog. Elsewhere, her colleague Kevin Watts, who dropped off the ransom money, was also making a public appearance alongside his wife at a press conference. He too praised Stephanie for the way she handled her ordeal.
I think she's a remarkable person. To have gone through what she's obviously gone through, which is more of an ordeal. And when I met her, I think she's an incredible person.
Meanwhile, in a final pose for the cameras, Stephanie hugged her pet cat Pipkin. In the last line of a recorded message she sent to her parents during the kidnapping, she said, "Don't forget to feed him." Terry Lloyd, ITN, Birmingham.
Algeria's leaders have declared a 12-month state of emergency following a weekend of clashes between Muslim fundamentalists and the security forces. At least 40 people have been killed. The army-backed ruling council has also started legal moves to ban the fundamentalist party, the Islamic Salvation Front. The unrest began last month when elections were cancelled as the front was on the brink of winning power. A confidential United Nations report says hundreds of Somalian refugees are dying each day in camps set up by the UN. Up to 100,000 Somalians escaping tribal warfare have fled to makeshift camps in northern Kenya. ITN's Jeremy Thompson has visited one of the camps where it's claimed the UN teams can no longer cope.
Up to 1,000 Somalis a day are pouring across the border into Kenya, driven out of their homeland by the savage ethnic conflict. Over 100,000 are now living in hastily erected refugee camps. So far, the sheer numbers have overwhelmed the relief operation. Food is in short supply, and water from local boreholes has dried up in the fierce heat of this arid border region. These people haven't had a drink for 2 days. Over 20% of the refugees are suffering from malnutrition. Here at the Liboy camp, around 10 Somalis are dying every day, many weakened by their long walk to safety. But the authorities are worried that the tribal tensions will spill over into Kenya. While the United Nations attempts to broker a ceasefire inside Somalia, the continued fighting there is creating an explosive refugee problem for Kenya. They've appealed for international help to avert a potential human catastrophe. And it's not just the Somalis. Civil war in neighboring Ethiopia and Sudan is adding to the crisis in these inadequate border camps. Jeremy Thompson, ITN, Kenya.
Lawyers for Mike Tyson have completed their defence at his trial in Indianapolis. The boxer is accused of raping a contestant in the Miss Black America beauty contest. He's admitted that he had sex with the woman, but says it was with her consent. The jury of 8 men and 4 women will retire tomorrow to consider their verdict.
The defence claimed that the alleged victim, a contestant in the pageant, showed little sign of distress during the 48 hours that followed her early morning meeting with Mike Tyson. The tape closed their evidence, but unlike British courts, the prosecution have the last word here, and they produced a string of witnesses to rebut points raised by Tyson's legal team. Most of them were Miss Black America contestants. here to raise questions over allegations that the accuser had spoken admiringly of Tyson's physique. There was also the question of whether Tyson had used an explicit F word when inviting the alleged victim out. Tyson told the court on Friday that he had been explicit. The grand jury had cut him off before he could use crude language. Over 10 days, more than 30 witnesses have given evidence on two very different accounts of what happened here in Indianapolis last July. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock sharp, prosecution and defense will begin summing up. The judge will then issue some legal instruction, and the jury are expected to retire to consider their verdict by tomorrow afternoon. Robert Hall, ITN, Indianapolis.
Football, Nottingham Forest and Tottenham have drawn 1-1 in the Rumbelows Cup semi-final first leg at the City Ground. Tottenham took the lead in the first half, but Forest fought back to level the match after half-time.
Tottenham beat Forest in the FA Cup final 9 months ago, and it didn't take them long to go ahead again today. Darren Wassell tripped Paul Allen in the penalty area, and the referee pointed to the spot. Gary Lineker stepped up to chip the ball over Mark Crossley for his 24th goal of the season. Shortly after the break, Forest felt hard done by when a Stuart Pearce effort was disallowed for offside. It was one of two Forest goals the same linesman ruled out. But Forest's pressure eventually paid off, and the equaliser came when Terry Sheringham capitalised on a mix-up in the Tottenham defence. 1-1 the final score, and all to play for in the second leg at White Hart Lane.
An Essex couple are to become the first in Britain to give away their unborn babies. It follows successful fertility treatment and the birth of their twin daughters. But Leslie and Alice Turner produced 5 extra embryos which have been kept frozen. They now want to give them to a childless couple.
Alice and Leslie Turner are about to bring adoption into the age of the test tube baby. After 18 years of trying for a family, fertility treatment gave them twins Louise and Marie. But it also left 5 spare fertilised embryos, each one potentially another Louise or Marie. The Turners now plan to donate them to another childless couple.
And we decided by then that we didn't really want any more children and what to do with these eggs, so we decided to donate them, as we didn't really want to throw them away or give them to research, so we donated them to another needy couple that were desperate to have children.
This is where the Turners' embryos are stored, along with hundreds of others produced by couples receiving fertility treatment. Doctors say that despite the ethical dilemmas, embryo adoption could become commonplace.
The dilemma is what to do with those embryos. And you've got 3 choices, really. One is to discard them after a fixed time interval of 5 years. One is to use them for research. But if you ask infertile couples what they'd like to do with them, if they don't require them for themselves, then the vast majority would like them to go to other infertile couples.
The Turners won't be told what happens to their embryos.
It could be one Sunday morning when it's raining or something, you've got a quiet moment for yourself and you might think in a few years' time, were they successful? Because we'll never know.
The twins will be told that they may have genetic brothers and sisters, but they'll almost certainly never know who they are.
And that's all from the newsroom this evening. Good night.
HMS Coventry, a destroyer, was hit and has been lost.
The first thing I knew was really a flash and heat and a stunned silence.
All of a sudden, really, had it in his mind that he was not going to come back home.
Well, he said he didn't think they would all get back to Portsmouth. And he's absolutely right.
19 men died aboard HMS Coventry. A widow and the ship's captain reflect on their losses in the Falklands conflict. In time of war, Tuesday at 7:30.
Hello, good evening. Well, I'm afraid it's more of the same on the weather front, meaning showers, including wintry showers. Although our wind flow chart here indicates a change to come, with a little low sitting out here to the southwest, and that heralds a change to more continuous rain from round about tomorrow night onwards. First, let's deal with tonight. Once again, the focus is on showers, very much stretching down the western side of the country, and on the higher ground there, a bit of everything thrown in, including hail, sleet, and even some snow. Inland, out to the east, it's a case of some slippery stretches on roads, because with temperatures taking quite a severe tumble down towards freezing in a few places, well, obviously you'll have to take extra care if you are driving tonight. Going into tomorrow, the start of a brand new week, once again we see these showers, a good sprinkling down the western side, especially on the coasts here and up on the hills. Anywhere from round about North Wales northwards, we can expect a couple of winter flurries. The very best of the brightness, very much to the sheltered east. As we go through the day, two things happen. Wales' central and southern parts dry off completely. At the same time, this cloud tends to pile up in the southwest with the next lot of rain on the way. As you'd expect, temperatures are rather struggling still, 7s and 8s. In Fahrenheit terms, that's round about the mid-40s. But add on a rather stiff breeze, and I think you'll find it just a touch chilly. Good night.
Two people from opposite sides of the world.
You're Dr. Martin,
One a princess, the other
It was an accident, sir.
a man with a past to hide.
What are you trying to prove to me, people?
Caught in the bloody confusion
Your victory.
of a world at war.
It's not our war.
It's everybody's war now. Whose side are you on, anyway?
They were drawn to each other
I love you, Alina.
by an inescapable desire.
No, I must go.
We must be together. He wants my wife. He sleeps with my wife. That's a lie!
You destroy everything. From the producers of Tanamera, Jason Connery, Vivian Tan, Richard Wilson, Howell Bennett, Josephine Burns.
Do your worst. I, Chris Masters, defy it.
Noel Barber's scorching bestseller. Experience the other side of paradise, coming soon on TVS.
Coming sooner on TVS, Melvin Bragg with this weekend's South Bank show.
Cadbury's Flake, the crumbliest, flakiest milk chocolate in the world.
It's the riches and the ruffles that causes the kerfuffles.
New Dettox multi-surface cleaner for tough cleaning jobs.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Because it's Dettox, it waves bye-bye to bacteria.
Goodbye.
Waves bye-bye to doubt.
If you're tempted by a car with a little more flavour, this one's irresistible. The Renault 19 from £7,777.
9 out of 10 people still aren't eating enough fibre. So it's worth knowing that in 5 portions of cabbage, there's the same amount of fibre as you'd find in just a single bowl of Kellogg's All-Bran. Kellogg's All-Bran, a great fibre provider.
You better watch your mouth, because drinking, smoking and eating rich food can make your breath pong. So always carry Clorets, breath fresheners with Actisol to help neutralise nasty niffs. And as for tasting nice... They do run. They do run. So don't let us catch you without them.
If you want to stay a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Clorets, the breath freshener with Actisol in mints and gum. Give us a kiss then.
the Andersons try out Danepak's new Lean and Low bacon.
We love the healthy, outdoor life.
Fresh air.
Plenty of exercise.
And good food, like this Lean and Low bacon.
And what's great about Lean and Low, this new product from Danepak, is that it's lower in fat and salt.
So it's better for our figures.
Plus, it doesn't spit so much fat everywhere.
Yes. Danepak Lean and Low, the natural choice.
Questions on TVS tomorrow night gives you at home a chance to quiz some top people in public life. On this week's panel, the former Cabinet Minister Sir Norman Fowler, Labour's environment spokeswoman Anne Taylor, Alan Beath of the Liberal Democrats and the Sunday Times editor Andrew Neil. They'll take questions on anything you care to throw at them. We'll give out the phone numbers you need after Coast to Coast tomorrow evening. That's questions at 10:40.
This is TVS. With the South Bank Show, here's Melvyn Bragg.